You're listening to the Domenick Nati Show. News, gossip, celebrity interviews with limited knowledge and accuracy in sports and politics. And now, your host, celebrity publicist, Domenick Nati.
That's right! It's Friday, and it is time for the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio in Chicago. First of all, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a new president. Rednecks rejoice. It is Donald Trump by a nose. Anyway, today's show is going to be a big one, and we're not going to mess around today, all right? Our guest is Bill Cosby. Now, I'm going to be asking him about a couple things. Race, I'm going to ask him about his marriage, and I'm going to ask him about the Cosby Show. Those are my three topics I want to talk about. So I'm not going to mess around. I'm not going to do the news. No goofy stuff today. What we're going to do, me and my brother-in-law are going to be interviewing Bill. So right now, we're going to go to the entrepreneurs and hear another great idea. And then we're going to go from that. We're going to interview Bill, and we'll be right back. So keep it here on the Domenick Nati Show.
You're listening to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Entrepreneurs. Now, you guys know Sam and Sean. They're with me again. There's a couple things that I researched. I didn't quite find in my research, but I know that it's out there because I trust you guys. But I hope that didn't offend you, but you're looking at me kind of like with weird stares.
I think we're curious at this point.
Well, it's just some of the statistics I wasn't able to find, but I mean, I don't even want to get. I thought I had in my head that I was going to confront you, but now I feel uncomfortable. So let's just move past it. But again, thank you for being on the show. And I was wondering if you guys had more ideas. I feel weird. Did I make it awkward?
No. And again, look, frankly, we're just grateful to be here.
Okay.
And we consider this a huge honor that we can share this time with you. And before I get into that, I'd like to give you another update. After last week's show, Shoemate.
Huge news.
Huge following. 10 calls since the show. Now, I got to be honest with you. Nine of those calls were fairly negative, by the way.
Oh.
And it's arguable that the 10th was also negative, but we just hung up. I don't want to deviate, but I want to really get into this new concept. We started sharing a little bit about our past last week. I was a brick mason for a few years.
And I was a tree cutter.
And he was a tree cutter.
Oh.
I'm out there, and I'm, digging up ground and earth, and I'm laying bricks. I've got all the tools.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah, please.
This is where my chocolate met his peanut butter, this story here. So this is good stuff.
That was very poetic, Sean.
It was probably a little slightly disgusting. Anyway, so, again, as a brick mason, I'm outside. I'm, having to pull up earth with a shovel. I use a tamp, and I'm smacking the ground. I'm trying to get
I don't
nice.
think brick masons pull up earth.
We do. No, we do. We do pull up earth.
Is that hand motion? Is that the...
That's exactly how we do it.
So it's just like you create a fist, just for the listeners, because they don't understand. You create a fist,
and
it's like up and down
quickly.
You just whack it.
You just whack it, and you're just doing it quickly.
Tell me more about how you guys met.
Well, Sam was laying the patio, and he came into an obstacle, a tree.
Trees.
And I happened to be moseying by with my father, and I noticed he had a problem. We shook hands, and we discussed that, I am a tree remover. I mean, I axe. I don't like chainsaws. I like going the old conventional way.
The Paul Bunyan way.
That's probably, if you guys can't see this, but Sean's muscles are big.
Oh, well, thank you.
Sam, not really, but just so they understand the whole scope of how you guys look.
Yeah, not really.
I brandished my axe, and I took that tree out for Sam, and he finished that patio.
Very grateful.
It was an amazing. Wasn't it in a local magazine when you were done?
We did.
It was
Landscapes and Lawn.
Yeah, that sounds like a good read.
It's a free magazine you see at a coffee shop. It's actually not so much a magazine as it is a flyer. So we just got back from China, and we have patented this already. It's essentially a 4 or 5 foot pole. On the top end of it, we've got an axe blade.
Mm.
And on the bottom of this, we've got a tamp. So this is kind of an all-in-one tool, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? We struggled with the name for quite a bit, but we think, Sean, in thinking about it, Sean, I think, has come up with the appropriate name. It's the Tampax.
Oh my goodness, that brings the chocolate and peanut butter together.
Right. That's the chocolate and the peanut butter.
And it comes in a nice little cardboard cylinder.
Yeah.
That you can store it away with. And say if it's in the back of your truck, you can't get to it easily. It's got a long string that you can grab it by and pull it out.
Now let me ask you, if the Tampax is out in the rain and there's like a lot of moisture, and
that's our first problem that we had to address.
Is it absorbent?
It's very absorbent of the moisture.
Yeah, so, because you can hurt yourself on that blade. You could start gushing out blood.
Definitely, that would be great if we made it like a first stage.
It actually get absorbed. It actually gets absorbed.
It absorbs blood
today, and we don't know that that's.
But then that starts to smell.
That's a good point.
It's a little fishy.
But I will say this: it is a very resilient material to where if you have a lot of trees, or if you have one tree and you have one patio or many patios, it's going to work. It's great for light and heavy days. It is just amazing.
Yeah. So, we'll have many forms of the Tampax.
Oh, yes. Always.
Guys, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Tom.
We'll be right back with more with the Domenick Nati Show on Intellectual Radio and iHeartRadio.
Hey, this is Riff Raff, and listen to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio.
Do you have a business and are looking for a creative and effective way to market your product or services? Are you an entertainer or recording artist looking for a captive audience to display your talent to? The Domenick Nati Show is now offering on-air commercial advertising for as low as $50. Your product or talent will be presented by celebrity publicist Domenick Nati and be seen on our social media accounts and on iHeartRadio and select stations throughout the country. Send us a message on social media at Dom Nati Show or email DomenickNatiShow@gmail.com for more information. The Domenick Nati Show, maximum exposure, minimum censorship. You're listening to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio.
Okay, welcome back to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio in Chicago. The time has come. I have him on the line, and we are very excited. We are talking to the one, the only, Bill Cosby. Bill, if it's all right, I'd like to just jump right into some questions. Now, you have been married for over 52 years. Now, I'm not going to I just want to ask you a question. Does the entertainment industry make it difficult on a marriage? Has the industry itself made it difficult for you?
My wife has been the captain, the general, the leader of this family. And all of us, the children and her husband, we've all gone off and we've jumped off the tracks. And she has been the person to put things back on the track. I'm not saying how painful it is when she grabs you to put you back on the track. But the beauty and strength of this woman cannot be measured by any human beings, period. It is only, I feel, that divine intervention happened in my life, which I apologize to her for, that they said, okay, you're going to be Bill Cosby's wife. I don't know why they're punishing her. I don't know what she did in her other life, but she got me, and by George or by Camille, she's going to make this work or else get rid of him. I mean, I do have a shelf life. Yes. So it is that Camille, Olivia Hanks, Cosby has been the strength, the lover, the love, the honesty, and integrity of our family.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah, I'm glad we got to ask you about that. So you started your stand-up career in 1962. Obviously, those were different times than today. You did not incorporate race into your material. Why was that? Why did you feel like that wasn't necessary?
There's two things. One was when I was doing race material and I was interspersing it, a white guy who was a comic, we would all meet after we performed and go over how our audiences did. And this guy said to me, I didn't even know him, and he said to me, you know, if you turned white tomorrow, you wouldn't have any material. And that really angered me, but not so that I lost control. But I looked at this guy, and I knew that he was wrong. So I set that. The other thing is, race to me is something that if you're going to talk about it, and especially in those days, coming through the 50s to the 60s, for me, there was nothing funny about lynching. There was nothing funny about yanking people off of a lunch counter. There's nothing funny in that picture of the hoses and the dogs doing the prostate operations. So, unless when I'm talking about race, I'm going to give it to you without jokes. That didn't fit well.
Yeah.
With an audience that has come to laugh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set that aside. Now I noticed that the identification was in a humanitarian sort of human being effect. That people said, I identified, therefore I am with you. I identified, therefore I laugh with you. So when I talk about my wife, I have a black wife. No, that's automatic. I have a wife.
Right.
I have children. Well, my black children, no. My children. Okay, so my children want, when they turn 16, they want a car. You can identify with that. And all these things that turned out to be things that people could identify with. How did you get in my house? Said the white people to the black man. Said the Chinese people to the black man. Said, yeah, you see, we can go on and on and on. And it became something that I have heard 50-year-old people say to me, you know, my father was a devout racist, but he brought home your LP and said, this, I don't know what he called me. this man is funny. But what was he saying? In the subconscious, he's saying, I mean, he's laughing, and then in the conscious, he's he's not really getting it, that he's laughing because I'm human and so is he. And that's why he's liking it. I hope I didn't contradict myself because it was very sort of complex. But what happens is my routines did not make this man go out and love all black people or some. He just knew that he enjoyed the identification that I was putting there, which was I am a human being, and then he laughed, so are you. And it doesn't mean come on in and sit down and here's your hood for the meeting. Well, you started it.
Yeah. Now, you started the Cosby Show in 1984. I'm just curious to hear the story about it. Like, whose concept was it? Was it yours, or was it like a team of people? How did that come about?
It was at a time when sitcoms were dead. That's what everybody said. And it should have been dead. Sitcoms should have been dead because what they were trying to do with sitcoms was make the children smarter than the parents or any old person trying to tell them something. And this is written by grown-up white people. See how race comes into play?
Yeah, probably.
I kept looking at and thinking, man, how horrible was your life with your parents that you wanted to do this in writing? But later I found out it doesn't make any difference. These people just want to write stupid and have yuck jokes because now you can see it. You can see it in movies. You can see it in animation. You can see it on TV, anywhere. It's back to that idiot stuff that they always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So when Tartikoff came, there was a discussion with Tartikoff, and Tartikoff said, okay, because they watched The Tonight Show, and he saw the monologues that I was doing on The Tonight Show with Johnny. And he said, okay, let it go. So we put it together, and the first writer was a fellow by the name of Ed Weinberger, who, by the way, Ed and I are in the same class, 204, Central High School, Philadelphia. And I thought that was wonderful. And read the script, and then we cast the people. And then Marcy said, I want a baby. And that's where Rudy came from. This child who could just about walk and talk. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're talking about somebody's going to be an actress to memorize lines. And then you had Malcolm, had Lisa Bonet, and then Tempest. And we did not yet have Sandra. I didn't have the older one set yet. But Felicia got the job because she is brought up by a real mother that I like. Not a bobblehead black woman shaking and everything is so forth and so on. A woman who could look at you and you knew you were in trouble.
Yeah.
and it did not make a wrinkle in the face. It was just from the eyes.
Yep.
To whether or not she looked you dead in the eyes or just turned her head a little bit to look someplace. And no hands on the hips, just a quiet, you're not in trouble, or you're going to be in trouble, or you're in trouble. And that's what I wanted. And Malcolm Jamal Warner was one of the most interesting auditions, because when he was reading, he was coming from whatever this foolishness is of where you talk back to your mother, you grunt, you do things like that. So I mean, I felt that he was a good actor, but his attitude needed direction. So I came down and I pulled him aside, and we went outside, and I said, "You live with your mother?" He said, "Yes, sir." He was 14 at the time. I said, "And when your mother tells you to do something like this thing in the script, I mean, do you answer her that way?" And a smile grew on his lips. And he said, "No, sir." I said, "Then go back and act accordingly." And man, he changed in a heartbeat and has always approached his mother on TV and his father the same way.
Well,
it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Now, what about the Cosby sweaters? Were you involved with the wardrobe? I mean, was that something? I mean, I know that obviously you're an educated person in real life and also on the show. Is the wardrobe supposed to reflect that? I mean, it's because it's such an iconic thing, you know, in your career now.
I have no idea what you just asked me.
I'm asking the Cosby sweaters.
Listen, I know I'm iconic. I like that part.
You like that? I'll keep.
What are you asking? I know you also told me I'm very intelligent.
Right.
And then you said something. You said something about the sweaters.
Is that where? Yeah.
You said something about the sweaters, and then you said, "Did you have anything to do with that?"
Right. So the Cosby sweaters, in quotes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I mean, is that was the sweaters you wore that people always talk about and stuff? I mean, is that something?
Forget the people talking. What do you want to know about those sweaters?
Were you involved in the selection process of your wardrobe?
I did not care about it. Some sweaters I bought.
Okay.
Now, those sweaters were made, the sweaters that I bought are made by a fellow by the name of Koos, Koos. He's a Dutchman, Vandenacker. I don't think he was responsible for the slave trade.
Right.
But he did these patches of leather along with cloth materials, and I thought they were absolutely pieces of art that one could put your head through, and these sweaters, and they were interesting to look at, and I bought a number of them. Then there's a woman, her name is Sarah Lemire. She is a professional shopper. They call them stylists. She would go to the different department stores and look. Specifically, I wanted my character to wear sweaters as opposed to the doctor's suit and tie when he wasn't working.
I dig it.
Because I felt that at that time the suit and tie were very, very, they spoke for an educated person who was still at work, or it just didn't have a more relaxed feel. And I felt that the sweater would add a comfortable look was what I wanted, which, by the way, also made any time I put a suit on, the suit looked great and wonderful.
Are you doing Twitter, Bill? Are you doing stuff social media where fans can get at you? Well, another long pause.
Do you have any of those instruments?
Instruments? I do. Yes.
Look up BillCosby.com.
Okay. BillCosby.com, and that's where fans can get at your social media.
What do you see?
I see you? It's pulling up. I got a slow connection here. Yeah, Facebook and Twitter. I thought it'd be fun to hear it in your.
I thought it would be nice if you had already done that before you bothered me and woke me up this morning.
I know it's Twitter. A lot of people like to hear it in their own voice, but it is twitter.com/Bill Cosby. Now, Bill, is that you tweeting, or do you have a hired tweeter?
How would you know?
We would not know.
Then don't ask.
Only okay.
because then you'll either believe or you won't believe.
Right.
I mean, there's no fair way that I can really do that without you guys, saying, but I'll tell you what it is. All of this is much better than fan mail.
Yes, but
no, really, because the fan mail, you get 850,000 letters a week, and they go into this company, and the people would look at it. I don't know what they did, man, and they would answer something. There was also where they had a machine, and it would print out your picture with a printed copy of your written autograph, signed autograph. And this is much easier, much better.
Yeah.
To be able to to type in, and the connection is an awful lot of fun.
Yeah. And 3.4 million Twitter followers. So
and growing.
And growing.
Yes.
You're definitely doing something right. Anyway, Bill's a big fan of the show.
Yes, I am.
Right. He's listening.
You know why? Because I listened, so far this is the only program I've listened to.
Right.
Just the one with me on it.
Yes. Right. That's the only one he
why it's my favorite.
That's right. So if Bill's listening, you should be too.
And my name is Bill Cosby, and I approve this message.
Bill, thank you so much again.
Don't light the cannabis.
Don't light the cannabis. No. No, we will not be doing that.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more of the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio.
Hi, this is Dr. Miami, and you're listening to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio.
Do you have a business and are looking for a creative and effective way to market your product or services? Are you an entertainer or recording artist looking for a captive audience to display your talent to? The Domenick Nati Show is now offering on-air commercial advertising for as low as $50. Your product or talent will be presented by celebrity publicist Domenick Nati and be seen on our social media accounts and on iHeartRadio and select stations throughout the country. Send us a message on social media at Dom Nati Show or email DomenickNatiShow@gmail.com for more information. The Domenick Nati Show, maximum exposure, minimum censorship. We're back to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio.
Welcome back to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio in Chicago. That was an incredible interview with Bill Cosby. I actually really learned a lot. It took a little bit. He's a little older, always been kind of a slow talker, but I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed you listening. Thank you, Bill, for being on the show, and we will be back next week with the Domenick Nati Show. See you next week.